and in today's session we're going to be talking about creating lease options and in actual fact how easy they are. Before we do that, I want to just remind you that this is sponsored by the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property platform which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK. Whether you're looking for a below market value deal, a rent to rent deal, a lease option deal, we've got them all there. Now there are two ways to get involved. You can either go to the website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. Now let's get straight into it. What is a lease option and why they're so popular? So a lease option, if you break it into two sections, it's a lease. A lease is where you lease the building from the owner and you guarantee them rent for that specific period. So let's just imagine that you go to a landlord and you say that you're going to give them £500 a month guaranteed for the next 5 years. Now, the second part of the term is the option. Now, the option is going to be the price that you offer to purchase a property of them that you lock in today, but you can purchase any time within the lease period. To give you an example, let's start from the beginning. So you're going to rent the property of the landlord at £500 a month for the next 5 years. And within that 5-year period, you can purchase that property off that landlord for £100,000. Now, why would someone do that? And I'm going to give you a live example of a lease option that we've negotiated this week. This isn't one that we're going to take on personally just due to location, but it's in actual fact a great deal. So a portfolio landlord contacted me this week. Bear in mind, it's only Tuesday, and so this is hot off the press. And they turned around and said that they wanted to sell the portfolio. Now, the first thing that I always ask when I'm speaking to any homeowner or investor looking to sell their investment property is the reason why they're looking to sell. Now, the owner of this property wasn't in any financial difficulty or anything. All they wanted to do is free up some time as they wanted to go travelling around the world. They wanted to go and set up a new holiday home somewhere else, and they didn't want the burden of tenants and letting agents. So I actually decided that selling the property may not be the best option for them. And so I floated the idea of a lease option to them because I thought if they actually like the income of the property and they don't need the funds from the sale of the property, then a lease option may actually be perfect for them. So I went to them and said, guys, okay, if we can guarantee you a rent of, let's say, £1,000 a month, because this was an 8-bed HMO, and that would give you an income of £12,000 a year over a 5-year period, that would in actual fact give you an income of £60,000. Plus the purchase price that you want today, off memory, was around £300,000. So you can still lock in the £300,000 purchase, and also you can have an income which is pretty much guaranteed £60,000. And he kept asking the question, but what if there's an issue? What if there's an issue with tenant, this and that and the other? I said, well, these will now all become the responsibility of the person taking the lease. And they asked the question, well, what happens? How do we know that this person is going to be credible? I said, well, the same way you can do credit checks, you can do a reference check, you can take people on that have already got other assets in the back that you can use for collateral should or if something go wrong. And also you can ask for a fee to be paid up front, which will then be deducted from the purchase price should they exercise the option to purchase within the 5-year period. So that actually gives the owner some comfort knowing that if they don't proceed with the purchase, because remember with a lease option it is an option but not an obligation, that they've got a deposit that they will have to forfeit, and some of these deposits are quite sizable. So if the property is £300,000, the deposit could be circa in excess of £50,000, but it's still less than the 25% deposit that you would have used to purchase the property. So there is a real win-win all round. Now, what's in it for the person that's going to lease a property? Well, first of all, you don't need as much money to get involved in the deal. I've done lease options where the capital required is £1, and then on top of that I've negotiated lease options where you've had to pay in excess of £50,000 to get involved. However, that £50,000 is still less than the 25% deposit that you would have had to put in initially. Then also bear in mind that you've got to pay, normally when you purchase a property, you've got to pay the legal costs, you've got to pay the stamp duty, you've got to pay the mortgage surveyor's costs and all those kinds of things, which all kind of rack up quite quickly. Here with a lease option, very much it's a case of you pay the deposit, it goes over to the solicitors do their work, and then pretty much you've got the keys. It's quite simple and it can be very, very quickly. Whereas when you purchase a property, it could take in excess of 3 months, approximately 12 weeks. So more importantly, one of the main benefits for a lease option from an investor's point of view is, so the first one is speed. Second thing is making cash flow from property that you simply control. Now let's just go back to the 8-bed HMO. So if there's going to be approximately £1,000 cash flow from this property over a 5-year period, that's going to generate them £60,000 worth of cash flow. Now, if they use that £6,000, they can actually use that towards a purchase towards a property, which means that when they come to purchase a property, let's just imagine that the purchase price is £300,000. They're not going to need to find much more in terms of a deposit. So property, in theory, and there have been lots of scenarios where the property has generated more than enough cash flow to fund the property, sometimes even outright. And on top of that, because you've locked in the purchase price today, if you were to do work to the property and increase the standard of the property, when you in actual fact come to purchase the property, you could actually be purchasing the property below market value, which means that later, circa 6 months later after acquiring it, you could then refinance and then get your money back out based on the fact that property has increased in value. So there are lots of benefits of a lease option if you structure them correctly. So they're easier to structure than lots of people imagine, because lots of people worry about the rent, people worry about the term, people worry about what work is going to go into a lease option, and it really is easy. So we spoke to the person on Friday and we negotiated it on Monday, and pretty much we've got investors ready to acquire them straight away. So it's a portfolio of 6 properties that this landlord's got. So if you like the thought of that and you want to see them, go to the Property Investor app, go and check them out. The HMO is going live and it really is a great deal. So if you like the thought of that, go to the Property Investor app. Again, 2 ways to get involved. You can either go to the website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. It'd be great to get your feedback. So if you like the thought of that, feel free to reach out and I'm happy to try and help any way I can. Now, if you want to get socials or find me on socials, please go and find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok, all under the handle of Arsh Ilahi. So there we have it, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that podcast. Any questions, feel free to reach out and I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you and bye-bye.